Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. It is Tuesday, November 18th, 6:25 a.m. out in the world where I am, which right now is Baltimore, Maryland. I said change. I'm in a season of expectation, you know what? But also walking in a season of preparation, a season of change. It's one of those things where I was looking back at my videos during my year in review, because there is some change in my life right now. Right now, very significant change. But it's one of those things where I said, how well do I want to let you know, Shantae? You know, and it's one of those things where I believe you're transparent. Somebody said that I'm very transparent. But sometimes it's like I could do a whole video on when going transparent goes wrong. Because sometimes you can let people know so much about you, then they question you, you know what? Or they question you, or no offense, but they question you, then they feel entitled. Because they want to know more. And I'm a little person, you know what? And it's like I try to be honest about what's going on with me, and then you face judgment for being honest, you know. And I'm one of those people, I said to always say, don't be an honest fool, you know what? And when I say honest fool, it's like one of those things, never be so honest, especially around people that are counting on you, your honesty, and use your honesty against you. Right? I tell myself, don't be an honest fool. So I insist on coming on the internet, transparent. Am I a trained makeup artist? Absolutely. Did I go through my natural hair phase? Absolutely. Do I know how to put on a wig and do an install? Absolutely. I sure do. But I said, do I look like that walking around every day? Nope. Even though I tested the world, I've been saying for weeks, you know what, I'm definitely am I in my teens anymore? No, in my 20s anymore? No, but I'm definitely in my sexy era. And I say being sexy has nothing whatsoever to do about what you look like. Be about what you look like. Or what you wear, you know, or how you wear your makeup, or how much, or how you wear your makeup, or how you wear your hair. It has to do with how you are feeling, you know what, something like that. So anyway, so I decided I want to be transparent. I said if I walk around on a day-to-day basis with no makeup on, that's exactly how I'm gonna go on here, you know. So I say, you know, I'm on the internet, I'm telling everybody, I say, you know what, I'm in my sexy era. It don't look like it, you know what. And then it's one of those things where this year, I said somebody wrote an article about me. I was recommended. You know what? No, an Atlanta publication. Actually, it's a nationwide publication. You know what? But particularly out of Atlanta, and I believe Austin or Houston, took an interest in me and actually published the article. You know what? So you know what? So it's one of those things where I try to be very, very, very transparent. And then it's one of those things where I try to say, didn't I say that? You know what? I said, one of those things about, said one of the questions was, of things that I've learned so far as a small business owner. Popularity and profit don't necessarily go hand in hand. Or popularity. Because as I said, you know, years 1 through 3, I was worrying about focusing on what? Social media presence, and brand awareness and social media presence. So people are definitely know about it. They're seeing it. They're looking at it. They're interacting with the post. But I would appreciate it if you would buy support or give me some feedback. They're like, you know what? I see your stuff all over the internet, but I don't necessarily like it. You know what? Or you know, or maybe if you carry more products like this, or maybe so I know some people that's looking for something like that. You know what? I would appreciate that as well. So it's just one of those things where I'm looking back at my videos. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm looking, I haven't even gone through all my videos yet. I'm thinking back this year. I said it's one of those things. I'm in a situation again. So it's one of those things. I'm like, how much do I want to tell people? And it's more like I want to tell you, I want to be honest. I feel like I'm supposed to talk about what's going on with me. But at the same time, then you have to face judgment, and then people got to talk about you. Then it's one of those things where they wouldn't have anything to say had I not said anything. Right, you know. So I don't know. So I'm going back and I'm looking at some of my year in review. You know what? And I haven't even gone through it all. I could be an interesting person. I really can. And I'm not just saying. It's one of those things where I'm going back and looking. And then some of the topics that I said I want to talk about here in 2025, I haven't talked about yet. So when I'm thinking about Vlogmas and what I'm going to be talking about through the month of December, it's definitely going to be very interesting topics. It's one of those things where I want to steer away from serious conversation. I want to. I don't want to necessarily be boring, but it's a way to talk about everything and to approach every kind of topic. And I definitely had a lot to say. I had my little pink notebook earlier this year, and I was going through this weekend. It was yesterday. It was Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, Saturday or Sunday. And I was going back looking at one of my videos, topics, things that I'm going to be talking about this year in 2025. I was telling people all about it, December 2024. Topics, things to look forward to. You know, interesting conversational topics in 2025. You know what? I've talked about some of them, a little bit here and there, but I said, you know what? I think there's some very, very, very interesting topics. So, so I'm looking forward to participating and talking every day for the month of December. Every day. You know, one of those things like I tell myself, trying to say, every day for the month of December. And I definitely had something to say. You know what? So I was thinking about, it's one of those things I was talking about my vision board. You know, and doing my year in review. I said, I haven't checked off not one thing on my vision board. And I talked about that. I said, you know what? I said, this is the season, you know what? Season of expectation, but not also season of expectation, season of preparation, you know. And then I said, there's also that season, you know what? I said, so how did you spend your summer? You know what? Were you dating? You know what? Were you in a committed relationship and happy? Were you young, single, and free? You know what? It's the same person that you, or say same person that you would spend, or just want someone to spend time with. Nothing wrong with companionship. So is that how you spent your summer? It's the same person that you would see in this summer dating, hanging out with your companionship. Are you carrying that same relationship into the fall and winter months, what they call it the cuddle buddy season, something like that? You know what? So I said, for some of us that are single, and embracing our singleness, you know what, whether by choice or otherwise, I said, now is to take the great season, a season of expectation, season of preparation, season of expectation, but also the season to what? Cuddle up with a good book. You know what? I said, so this season, I said, try to remind me. I said I was going to start a journey. You know what? No, I said, you know what? My 50 Shades journey. You know what? So I said I was going to pick up my first copy of 50 Shades of Grey. Because it's one of those things where years ago, everybody was reading 50 Shades of Grey. And it's like, I was like, is it really that good? You know what? But anyway, so for some reason or the other, I'm looking at the movies. I'm embracing my 7-day free trial on Cinemax, you know. So I'm watching the movies. So I'm 50 Shades Grey, 50 Shades Darker, and finally 50 Shades Freed. You know, I said, I'm not loving the music, loving the movie, but I'm loving the music. You know what? So all I could think was Cold Blue. I was in my Cold Blue era for a couple of days straight, and I still listen to it, you know. So anyway, I said, you know what? I said, so I'm thinking about it. It's just one of those things where I've heard so much about the book. And, you know, I said, this is definitely a season to eat, sleep, and read. You know what? So I'm thinking about starting my 50 Shades journey this season, this fall, winter season, going into the winter. So as far as the holidays, I said I don't have any plans for New Year's Eve. So exactly what will be going on with that. But yeah, so there is some things going on in my life. But you know, it's nothing that you haven't seen before. How about that? You know what? It's just like one of those things. I'm like, oh my God. And if you notice, you say, I'm not surprised. I said, but you know what? And I said, sometimes, you know, it's just one step and one step. Some people say, earlier this year, to quote myself, I said, you know what? They say today is the first day of the rest of my life. I said, no, today is the first day of the rest of my journey. So what am I going to talk about today? I don't know. I'm going to go back and look. But I went back and I looked, and I've been doing my year in review. And there's definitely some interesting topics, some topics that I definitely want to make sure I talk about now up and through the holiday season. So Thanksgiving is coming up. So if it's used for persons such as myself that may be single and try to be social, but not that social. So if you're looking for some things to do, you know, the holiday season, don't feel like you have to spend the holiday alone. Eventbrite, you know what? Eventbrite, put in your location, your local city. You know what? I'm sure there's some wonderful things, events going on. You know what? Free of charge. You know what? This holiday season, Thanksgiving on through the new year. So just because you are alone, don't feel like you have to be alone. Anyway, I am Shantae J. Good morning.